Hello students, this is the sixth video of second module, input output organization. So we in the last video we were discussing about direct memory access. So here a conflict may arise if both the processor and a DMA controller or two DMA controllers try to use the bus at a time. So if more than one device will try to use the bus at a time, then there may be some conflicts. Okay, so in order to resolve this, there is a arbitration procedure. It is implemented on the bus to coordinate the activities of all the devices requesting memory transfer. So in order to provide in order to do the justifications, so we have the arbitration procedures here. So bus arbitration means the device that is allowed to initiate the data transfer on the bus at any given time is called as a bus master. So the master means the owner of the bus. So here arbitration is a process by which the next device to become the bus master is selected and bus mastership is transferred to it. So initially the processor will be the bus master, and later whichever wants to request for the bus, then that mastership has to be transferred from the processor to that device, and this method or this process is called as bus arbitration. There are two approaches. One is centralized, the other one is the distributed arbitration. So we will see one by one. In centralized, a single bus arbiter performs the required arbitration, whereas in distributed, all devices participate in the selection of the next bus master. Okay, so this is the difference, and we'll see in detail how actually it works. The bus arbiter may be the processor or a separate unit connected to the bus. The processor is normally the bus master unless it grants the bus mastership to one of the DMA controllers. A simple arrangement for bus arbitration using daisy chain and a distributed arbitration scheme is shown below. So here so daisy chain bus arbitration method, what it does means you can see here device 1, device 2, device 3 till device M, everything will be connected to the request line. So this is the BRQ is the um, bus request queue, and here is acknowledgement, and each one it will be sending the request line, and all will be collected and it will be given to the bus arbiter. And the bus arbiter, what it will do is it will be sending the acknowledgement, and once the acknowledgement will be received by any one of the device, then the bus mastership will be transferred to it from the processor to that device. And this is the distributed arbitration diagram. So here you can see there will be an interface circuit, and also there will be different lines which will be used for the arbitration method. So four lines will be used here, and also a start arbiter. Whenever any device wants to request, then it will be setting its values here, and depending on these values, whichever will be having the highest priority or the highest values, so that device will be given with the bus mastership. So this is about the bus arbitration. So bus arbitration, it consists of two methods. One is centralized method, the other one is the distributed arbitration. So in centralized method means there will be one bus arbiter who will be deciding to which device the bus mastership has to be given, and in distributed arbitration all the devices will be taking part in the distributed in the selection of process of the next bus master. So we can see here how actually it works. In centralized arbitration, a simple arrangement for bus arbitration using a daisy chain shows the arbitration solution. A rotating priority scheme may be used to give all devices equal chance of being serviced. So here if there is only one priority scheme, then what happens with the devices which will never get the which will be in the least priority and which will never get the bus ownership. So in order to avoid that, here the rotating priority scheme will be used. A rotating priority scheme means first time first device will be having the highest priority, in the second time second device will be having the highest priority. So it will be rotated, the priority will be rotated among the devices whichever will be connected over the bus. So in this way each and every device will be getting the bus mastership. So in distributed arbitration, all devices waiting to use the bus have equal responsibility in carrying out the arbitration process without using a central arbiter. That is what I told, like in distributed arbitration. So all the devices whichever will be connected over the bus will be following the arbitration method in order to select the next device, next bus master. The drivers of the open collector type are of the open collector type. Hence, if the input to one driver is equal to 1 and the input to another driver connected to the same bus line is equals to 0, the bus will be in the low voltage state. That is OR operation. It is AND operation. So if all the devices which will be connected, if it is having like arbitration 0 to arbitration 3, then any one of them will be equals to 0, means it will be considered as 0 only and it will be in the low voltage. So this is how the distributed arbitration will work. And next, moving to the buses. So here the primary function of the bus is that it is the one which provides the communication path for the transfer of the data. It must also look into when to place the information on the bus, when to have the control signals. So the bus, it will be consisting of the data as well as the control signals and also the address. So three different things the bus will be carrying, and along with that there will be interrupt request line also. Some bus protocols also are will be set, that is the set of rules which has to be followed by the device whichever will be connected to that bus. So it has to follow certain rules. These involve data address and control lines. A variety of schemes have been devised for the timing of the data transfers over a bus. So they are asynchronous and synchronous bus schemes. So here we have two different schemes. So two different schemes also I'll be explaining. So the bus protocols, it means it will be having some certain set of rules which has to be followed by all the devices whichever will be connected over that bus. And the bus master will be the initiator. Usually processor acts as a master, but under DMA setup any other device can be a master. The device addressed by the master is slave or the target. So first we will see what is synchronous bus, then we will move on to what is asynchronous bus. So all devices derive timing information from a common clock line. Equally spaced pulses on this line define equal time intervals. Each of these intervals constitutes a bus cycle during which one data transfer can take place. Timing of an input or output transfer on a synchronous bus. So here we can see that there is a bus clock. So this bus clock, it will be having some fixed amount of time and fixed cycles here, and the transfer of data or the address or the control information has to take place within that specified clock time only. But here you can see this is in at the master side and this is at the slave side. So first the address and the command or the control signal has to be passed from the master, so it has to be placed on this clock cycle. So here actually it has to start from the time t0, but it is starting at tam, which indicates that there will be some delay here. So once the command has been sent over the bus and the data and then what happens here is the slave will see that information. So once this has been sent, the slave will see here the information and the command line which will be consisting of the address and what actually the operation has to be performed, whether it is a read operation or write operation. So if it is read operation, then the slave will respond to that particular address and it will give here like it will place the data whatever has to be read. So immediately it will be placing the data here, TDS. So hence the data will be visible to the master at time TDM. So this is what in this period the data will be available to the master, and that data will be available only when the TDS will slave will place the data at time period TDS. So this is how in one clock cycle, that is starting from T0, T1 and T2. So this is how the data will and other command lines will be transferred from the master to the slave and slave to the master. So this is how the input operation or the read operation will be taking place.